Woo! Welcome back, everybody. How's everybody doing? Yeah? Awesome. So excited to see you. Good morning. Um, I got through your introductions and it's just kind of nice getting to know y'all. I'm gonna take attendance probably mid-class, gives us an opportunity for some folks who need a few extra minutes getting here. Um, and Okay, well, Will is hilarious, aren't they? Yeah. Actually, I could probably take this all down. That's pretty funny. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and give you a second to go ahead and log into your Canvas, and we're going to take a look at all y'all's beautiful ugly posts. Yay. All right, let's look at some ugly posts. Where do I put these? Oh yeah. Oh, Candace. Such hard work. All right. All right. Now, for our first in class exercise, if you missed class with me on Tuesday because there's some confusion about when we meet, how we meet, where we meet, or you forgot this was week one or whatever. Good news is that I did not enforce attendance on the first day. I'm just kind of giving everybody some grace on that one. And with that same spirit in mind, I've also excused this first post. It's pretty breezy, anywho. So if you didn't get this in on time and we're figuring some stuff out, don't panic. But if you did, you got your points. So it really wasn't really a loss for anyone. Okay, now nice job, Kobe. Where's Kobe? Is Kobe here? Yeah, that's a proper ugly mesh. Good job. I like what you have done here. It looks like possibly it can, poke me and hurt me, and that is very terrifying. Good job. Oh yeah, also pretty terrifying. Peyton, you hear Peyton? Nice. Like this. Mm-hmm. I especially like how you bent the rules of physics by applying, there's like a weird shading not occurring on this little, nice job. That's friggin' weird. Cool. Ooh, Nichelle. Nichelle's not here today, but she's probably watching. Nice job showing me the inside guts of your mesh. I like that. That's gross. Good work. Good work. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Gideon, Gideon, you here? Hi, Gideon. It starts off rather beautiful. And then as your eyes move down, gets gross. And I think you're telling a beautiful story. Isn't that delightful? It's almost wearing a hat, and you're like, ooh, maybe they're doing like a yoga, and then it's blah, blah, blah. I like it. Nice job. Okay. Uh, is it Davin? Is it Davin? Davin. Okay, first off, you are pushing a boundary here. This is almost very nice. However, I do see a little effort down here with some strange pulling in your smoothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this to you. This is ugly. Good job. Good job. But doesn't it almost look like a functional design of some piece of machinery? Oh, it's a tightrope walk there, sir. Ah, Daniela. Danny, right? Hi, Danny. Um, ooh, yeah, this is gonna hurt me. Yeah, I see it. I see the turmoil. Good job. Oh, is it Eroni? Ereoni? Okay, first off, I think you might have the ugliest one yet. Nice job. I mean, really, it's inverted. It's collapsing on itself. It's kind of inside out and not. And things that are smooth should be hard. I love this. Nice job. Way to break it. Nice job. Dan, I like it. It's a simple kind of gross. Yep, it's just like it looks like a stressed out cube. Makes me uncomfortable. Love it. Love it. Olivia, I don't think you're here yet. That's okay. That's okay. You're joining us. Okay. Now, I like this because you took several objects and worked to make all of them ugly. That took a little more work. And I just gotta say that I appreciate it. Dropping in this, what used to be a donut is now a donut's Wario. Ah, good job. Good job. Ooh, Nav. Yeah, good work. That's gross. I mean, you even left a highlight on there when you took the snapshot. Like you didn't even give me the courtesy of clicking off the thing. Nice work. Nat. Um, Nat, you here? There you are, love. Okay, I like it. It's almost like it's just it's trying to be a gear. It wants so badly to be a piece of machinery, but it just can't. Well, nice job. It's still proper and ugly. I like that we've even got like a weird chunk happen. I can't even make sense of that. Nice work. You're welcome. You're welcome. Teddy, you're not here yet, bro, but I feel like you're trying to tell me something, Teddy. This is like, you want something ugly? Oh, make something ugly. I even feel it. Doesn't this look pretty gross, everybody? Nice job. Nice job. Okay. Stephanie, you here? Okay. This is too pretty. I'm sorry. Well, you know what? It gets ugly the more you look at it, doesn't it? Wow. You got me. You got me. Nice job. You took me for a ride. I really had an emotional swing on this one. And I like that you left the edge normal selection there, so that's nice. Lucas, you hear Lucas? That's okay, Lucas. This is still great work. This is hideous. Nice job. Ooh. You know, spheres are so fun to play with. Lilica? Yeah, spheres are so fun to play with, and there's so much. There's just so much. There's so many faces. It's like, how do I make every single face ugly? And then after a while, you like get tired. But I'd say you did an excellent job of this. It looks like a sphere in a glitch, and I like that. That's pretty cool. Juan, Juan, you here? You, I think, might have been the first to commit this one of my favorite visual sins, and that is Z fighting. I haven't seen anybody else get a Z fight on. And I mean, even this one, dude, nice job. For anybody who's wondering what Z fighting is, it's when two faces are struggling to exist in the same space. So it's got this like checker, little blah, 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 blah. And then have you ever played a video game, probably a PS2 game, and you walk through something or walk through a level, and then you see a face on a mesh go like kind of wigs out, like that's called Z fighting. So nice job. You really, yeah, you got in there. Good work. Sarah. Sarah, you here? That's okay. This is also ugly. Good job. Good job. Nora. Hi. Hello. You almost got this thing completely inside out. You are well on your way. And I mean, it's okay. I mean no offense by this, but it's so ugly, it's almost pretty again. Kind of. Like I feel like if I got an ink splotch of this, I could start to draw or design something on top of it. That's probably true with a lot of our stuff. Yeah, sure. But I think because you got it so inside out, so black, my mind is already wanting to do that, you know? Cool. Ooh, Gabriel, you're not here yet, brother, but I see what you did here. I love that you started randomly deleting stuff too. That was also pretty brave. And I gotta say, I love it. I love to see a mesh just be all holy like that. That's great. That is one ugly mesh. Good job. Good job. Dolly. Good work. Good work. There's a lot of stress on this point. I really relate to this vertex right here. I really do. I feel like they're just carrying the weight of all the other vertices, right? Yeah. Good job. Good job. Okay. There's probably more. Yeah, there's a couple more. There's a couple more. Ooh, we've got multiple here. Ooh, this one. Oh, man, they both look stressed. Good job, Bowen. You here? Well, good work. This is gross. Oh, Adriana, yours didn't load. Oh, cool. Oh, nice job. You even have Ngons. Good work. Good work. Okay. Nice job, everybody. I love to see these broken meshes. Um, the purpose of this exercise obviously, is to show you that opening up Maya doesn't actually make you bleed. It's, sometimes the hardest part is just opening it up and getting started on an empty canvas. The second, I think, probably most stressful thing when learning software is I don't want to touch it because I'm going to break it, right? And I'm hoping to show you that you could properly destroy a mesh. Maya didn't explode at you, right? There will probably be times that some things, the UI might act a little funny. That's what I'm here for. But then there's this third sort of secret lesson that you might not have known you were doing. It's so funny to have a wrong answers only submission because we actually get to see what happens when we do a lot of stuff that normally we're trying to avoid. And so now we get to see what they look like. So did anybody notice, like, this is, I'm going to use yours as an example since I've got it up here. Look at all this black on the mesh. Based off of what we've seen, what do you all think that means? Nothing good. Nothing good. It's like, yeah, but like, whenever you see black, what's that telling you? Yeah, it's the inside of the mesh that's not shaded. So even when that part is outside where our brain wants to say light would hit it, light's not being calculated on it. It's not rendering. So when you see this black marking on your stuff in the future, you now know kind of what's happening. What's that? Sort of, no, but I will talk a little bit about, well, I don't know, I'll answer this question with the technical answer, but don't worry if you don't understand it, is kind of what I want to preface it. In computer graphics, we're not actually working with a real material. So our brains break a little bit when they behave in a way physics doesn't quite want it to. So what's actually happening is a kind of math called normal. A normal is a value that calculates the surface of how light will interact with this particular data. And in this case, faces. So the 4 numbers of each vert, which is actually 3 numbers because it's X, Y, and Z, and then it's shaded with a normal value, which is actually just a number. And therefore, the lighting simulation that's happening is going to communicate and create a type of shading effect, which is why whenever you turn your mesh, it kind of acts as though your face is the light and it continues to light the object. Now, we're not doing actual rendering here. It's just a kind of like default rendering for a viewport interface. But when normal data is missing, which can only be calculated on one side of a mesh, unless you have a shader or a material that allows calculations for both. But that's more expensive. Why would it cost graphics processing in a process like this, right? So there are 2-sided material types in other renderer, and you can even make it happen here too. But that's the actual reason why. There's just no math information for it to calculate the color. So great questions. Now, and we'll talk about what an n-gon is later, but you saw that you could delete stuff. You could delete faces, and some of you deleted maybe some edges or verts. That was pretty brave of you. We also noticed some of this like really hard shading. Yeah, that's the normal doing its best to try to make sense of this value. I'll show you how to make that mistake too. Yeah, lol. Good job. Okay, let's pull up Maya, let that open, and then we will see about recreating some of these little borky borks. Now, one of the most, I think, important things to know that when we make boo-boos, they're going to happen, does not make you a bad artist or a bad learner, is how to fix them, right? You're going to come across new problems, so I'll show you some of the obvious ones right out of the gate and how to fix them. Okay. I'm like hot and cold. I get warm when I wear the jacket, and then I get kind of cold in here. I bet it'll warm up in a bit though, because everybody's here and powering on. Okay, good. I am recording. I was worried it didn't start yet. Whew. Mm.
Yeah, that one, mine was kind of fun for me to do because I'm like, you know what? I've been here before. I know what to, what not to do.
Yep. And for that first one, it's don't you make me something pretty right out of the gate, you show off. Yeah. Oh no, Maya's missing? It does look like it's missing. This is another. Okay, there's a second one over there that is also missing it. Do, do you see Maya in your machine? Okay, so this one is no and this one is no. I believe these two do have it though. I'm so sorry. We'll give you guys a second to catch up. Well, one of them doesn't have Maya, but the keyboard works, so we're just swapping. We'll just swap it. Okay. So whenever you are done logging off of this one, we'll swap your keyboard for the one that doesn't work over there. I'm so sorry. Wonderful. Yeah. All right. Let me pause this so that I can continue to support you. What's that? Smoothing retopology. We do have retopology tools in Maya, but it's just that at first I'm trying to teach you how to control what you're building and what you're constructing. And in a lot of cases, while they will work pretty well for some stuff, usually static things that you don't plan to animate, your control of topology is really informed by how you plan to use this mesh. Is it destructible as a game asset? Is it going to be animated? If so, is it like animated machine or is it animated organics? So there's a lot of things that kind of go into like why we make topology decisions. So we're not going to worry too much about why we do them at first. We're just going to practice making those decisions. Next, let's actually break this mesh a little bit and see if I can create a problem for you. Okay, I'm going to use the move tool on a face and just go wah. That is ugly, isn't it? Good job, me. Now, the black underneath is black because it's inside out. We've figured this out. We've for sure figured that part out. Now, what about this? Oof. Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Now, what's happening here is that on a face like this, the normals are very smooth here. It's trying to create a nice smooth bump. It's a way to kind of like trick our eye into thinking something is a lot smoother and rounder than it is when that's actually a square popping off of it, right? This is actually a quad, but it looks kind of like a pimple, you know? And that's the shading that's happening here. Now in Maya, if you go to the mesh display, and I will cover this in more detail as we need to use it, there's a harden and soften edge. When you have edges selected, you can harden them, and then you can start to see like, yeah, actually, I'll double click all these. Don't worry about following along with me. I'm just trying to show you what they look like. I can actually make an edge hard, and then you can see that the shading now is starting to make a little bit more sense. So that is basically the idea around that weird pulling and weird shading is we got to control hard and soft edges. There's other cooler ways to do it. I'll show you more later, but that's all that means. Don't panic. Look at how it did those other edges though. Those are hard versus smooth right there. And it's like a little band with a little hard edge there. Yeah, that's all that is. Okay, now. Let's see here. Ooh, Z fighting. Let's see if I can create some Z fighting. Let's make two of them. It's usually when they're like, well, there's some flickering, but you can't quite see it because it's not inside out. Well, we'll come across it later. Usually how you fix Z fighting is you just move a face to not be taking up the same space as other geometry. That's basically all that means. Okay. All right. So everybody kind of feeling like we at least understand a little bit what those visual cues mean? Cool. All right. All right. Now, we have to make a barrel for our first assignment. And we are going to take it through the whole pipeline. And for this first part of this assignment, it's going to be simple flat materials that we will apply. We're not going to kind of go into detailed painting until we get back next week. But we do have to model this thing and prep it for the whole thing, right? And a barrel. Barrels are fancy, aren't they? They are fancy cylinders. There's like a cylinder with a little bit of attitude. And so the good news is that I think that our primitives here are going to do a lot of the work for us. Okay, is everybody ready to get started? I just kind of want to check on some folks, and I was installing while you guys log in and stuff. Okay, yeah? Oh no.
You're on, and I went for that one, that didn't have Maya, so.
This one doesn't have Maya. This one, the keyboard wasn't working. That one doesn't. This one does, but it has a missing keyboard. So, or the keyboard doesn't work. Here, go over to the one that doesn't have a good keyboard, and I'm going to swap it for this one. No, it's not your fault. It's really not your fault. Yeah, you come over here. Uh-huh. Yep. You did get a head start on the barrel. I saw that. So you're fine. You're fine. It's on my Canvas page. All righty. Okay, so let's get started. Now, for our assignments, we're going to make fresh scenes in a single project moving forward in class. Now, projects, how do we make them? Well, let's just take a look at like our file management for a second. I'll try to be gentle for any Mac users here, right? The Windows Explorer is essentially your Finder, okay? So all of our folders and files and EXEs, all the executables, things like that, they all exist in what we call a repo or a repository. And that's a good word for both because they apply to both, either Mac or PC. They're both repos. But for PC, they're called Explorer. And for Mac, it's called the Finder. So we're going to open up our Explorer here and find specifically documents, Maya. Now, this is the stack that Maya installs for you when you install it. And it pretty much always puts it under documents unless you tell it to install it somewhere else at home. And where you will find your projects are going to default to this folder right here. Now, notice you probably won't say 217 because none of you are taking that class right now. But you do have something that says default, don't you? So if I double click default, we'll see a bunch of folders that look a little freaky. We've got assets, autosave, cache clips. Good news. Don't worry about any of that. You don't actually have to interface with much of them. The ones that you will probably care about, though, are going to be scenes and source images, specifically this one right here and this one. Now, those folders will matter to us. I like to bring up a third, though, because there's confusion. There's images. Source images and images are different from each other. Source images are the images that we put into our projects that we access. Images folder is anything that we spit out of our project, like renders. So we're not going to be messing with that this quarter, but we will care about the scenes and the source images. So I wanted to show you this because while you don't really need to know what most of them mean at the moment, you do recognize pattern because you're human and probably artists. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project and not work in the default project. To do that, anywhere in Maya, whether it's the scene or here in your new part here, because you can actually create a new project. Like, oh no, that's setting it. Never mind. You still have to make a new one. No, don't save. Don't care. Go to File, and right down here where it says Project Window, whoop, it's going to pop up a window that has a lot of stuff that we just saw. It had a lot of these folders that we just saw. Now, let's not change anything here. Like, just like leave all of this alone, right? We're not going to name these anything else. But where it says default, you'll notice for you, it's grayed out and you can't change it, right? Click 2. Now you can. So I'm going to go ahead and name this DMA 216. Excuse me, love, you're going to want to try that computer over there because this one's missing Maya. I'm so sorry. Woof. Okay, you're going to hit DMA 216. Now, you can technically call this anything you want, but I do want to break your habit of calling things new projects because when I'm trying to help you troubleshoot later, when you accidentally save 5 new projects and you can't remember which new project was the one you're working in, let's try to help our future selves. Project management is just a hug for future self, I promise. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say DMA 216 and hit accept. Now, I'm going to head back over to our Windows Explorer for a second, and you'll notice you've got a new folder there, right? This guy right here, the thing you just named it. And when you click it open, you got all those folders it asked you about. That's what a project looks like. Projects in Maya are really just folders that have very specific folders, named very specific things, used in specific ways, and also the scenes that you save. So now this gets a little confusing, but for those of you that want it the most simple, how do I just get through this? If you want to make sure you don't miss anything at home, zip up this folder right here and share it with yourself. There are ways to manage by sharing much less and maneuvering within those projects, but if you're not quite up for doing all that right now, you'll be safe taking up the whole up folder, this whole folder right here, this one. DMA 216. Take that with you everywhere you work on your homework. You can access 216. Yeah. You may. You absolutely may. Are you allowed to bring hard drives and transfer stuff? Not only are you allowed, I kind of recommend it. I don't trust the cloud because I'm old and I had to troubleshoot this shit when I didn't quite figure it out. I've had a lot of 3D art get corrupted in transmission and transferring of all those files. And like, so I mean, unless I'm managing a Git repo, I pretty much never use it. So I don't like it, but you can. It doesn't mean anything will go wrong. I'll say that when I've had students use the cloud for their Unreal projects, I've seen shit get real weird. So I don't recommend that either, and I couldn't tell you why. I don't know. It's just weird. So yes, you can share them with each other. So why don't I go ahead and come on over here. Now, at the very tippy top, it says untitled. Right now it's not saved, and even if you saved it, it'd be untitled. So I'm gonna hit Control S, and this window will come up. Yay, at least something that's familiar. I'm gonna name this guy My Barrel. And now if I look at this, you'll see, I'm gonna go to 216, head on right down to Scenes, My Barrel. There it is. Question, can I just move the scene over from home to here? You can. However, a lot of the setup that we're going to do, like bringing in images and setting up our references, those will not come with you. They'll break. So you'll open it up at home and things will look a little weird and might make you scared. It doesn't mean you can't work on it. It just means you have to set it all up again. But if you bring the whole project over, breezy. Just double click that file right there. It'll open up and pff, done. Okay. Questions? Good? We good? All right. I'm so sorry that we had to talk about all that boring stuff, but you needed it. I promise. Yeah. What's that? Oh, thank you. Okay. So let's take a look at the assignment. Now, I have this due before we come back to class on Tuesday. We'll see how far we get because I have no intention of rushing this so that we just get through it. If we need to extend that to Thursday, we'll extend it to Thursday. Like, we're not going to worry about that. Let's take a look at barrel assignment. Ooh, part 1. I just published it. Why didn't you publish it sooner? Well, one part I forgot, but 2, also, I don't really want you worrying about it right away. It gets overwhelming. So now that it's got in front of us, now's your chance to kind of like, you can grill me about anything you're unsure about. So, yeah, notice how we have a barrel and it's got metal and it's got kind of a smooth, what could be mistaken for wood. Let's go back to the early stuff. We're going to model it. We're going to unwrap it and we're going to material and render it for this assignment. It feels like a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. Oh, don't worry. I'll show you how to do all of it. Okay, so we're going to create a 3D mesh in Maya. Have a clean closed mesh, meaning no n-gons and no holes. We understand what a hole is because we saw a couple of them in the ugly mesh. We don't know what an N-gon is. We did see one, but I'll give that one some more time too. And we gotta unwrap it. What does that even mean? And we're gonna substance paint it. Ah, okay. Is anybody panicking? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, well, I think that's normal. It's pretty normal, but it's doable. It's very doable. We'll get through here. So I've listed a few things we're for sure going to cover and how to do it. Anybody here learn a new language? Yeah, anybody here multilingual? Yes, great. Now, do you know every word in that other language? Not even close. Turns out to be like 70% fluent in something, you only need to learn like 1,000 words in that language. The top 1,000 most commonly used words. You might not sound like a scholar, but you will definitely be able to communicate. 1,000 words, not that many. Think about it. It's not really. There's a really great book called Thing Explainer, which explains really like complicated stuff using the top 1,000 most commonly used words. And so it's like make sky boat go in the air. It's very fun. My point is though, is that you really don't need to know everything to be really dangerous at this. And I'm going to show you maybe the same 5 to 10 tools, really, and we're going to reuse those over and over to model almost anything. Like once you get those 5 to 10 down, Pat, you can model anything. Okay, did you have your hand up? Okay, all right. So this will seem like a lot at first, but we're just going to repetitively go over these guys over and over again as we build up more assignments. Okay. Okay, I'll show you how to submit before we go, and it will all be recorded. Let's go ahead and grab the barrel reference. This is our barrel reference. I very specifically chose one that has a little bit more detail on it, even though we're not going to cover the small detail. You're not required to, but some of you are going to anyway, and I like to give you a little carrot because some of you are going to reach for it, and I like that for you. But you certainly don't have to. I'm going to show you all that you need to do to get through this. Now, let's go ahead and download this guy. Please let me know if you are not getting this image. Sometimes it doesn't load, or I've had things break. Just want to make sure. Ooh, good question. Is it? Resources barrel reference? No, resources is in the module. Sorry. I could see that though. Yeah, I try to like remove all the noise on that. Not really big deal, but if there's anything missing that you really want, I can make sure I've added back in here. So go to home, click home. And do. Home modules is also fine. Home modules are actually the same. And then hand painted barrel reference. Pretty much everything I put through that module pipeline for you. But if there's something that works better for you, let me know. I'll make it work. Okay. All right, go ahead and download that puppy. Now, in here, let's cover a little bit more navigation as we move forward. I would like you to go ahead and click anywhere in your viewport and hit the space bar. Just tap it. Ooh. Some of you might see 2 viewports, but most of you see 4, I think. Now, if I select another one and hit space bar, it will make it the big one. If I click these guys, whoo, whoo, whoo. Some folks really like to work in a space that has 4 viewports. They're basically 4 cameras looking at the same space, but they're all operating a little differently. Now, I personally, is this better? Is this better? Can you see better? I hate how dark I mean, I love it, but for you guys, I hate how dark it is up here. We're tiny. I can see about making the UI bigger. I'll check on that on break. Anyway, my point is that I personally don't usually work like this. I'll usually work with 2 panels up instead of 4. One being an orthographic camera, which I'll cover in a second, and a perspective camera, which is the one that we're tumbling in. Now, something you should understand is that while I can turn in the perspective, I cannot turn in these, nor am I supposed to. They're locked, and they're locked for a reason. There are ways in your settings to kind of override this stuff. Calm down. I know you want to, but please don't. All right. For now, I'm going to go over here to this left panel where it's got this like full-on viewport here, the 4 that we're used to seeing, and then my favorite, the 2 stack, the 2. I prefer to work like this. Now, I am going to go ahead and drop in a cube just to kind of cover all of this for us. Notice how over here, if I move this guy, it will move all over. Now, on the top right corner, I have a like view cube, like a viewport cube that shows me about the perspective I'm actually looking at an object, you know, left, front, top, bottom, right, back. See that? Yeah, and you can click and interface with this guy, but it's still a perspective view. That's pretty important. I'm going to hit Control D. You don't need to do the same. I'm duplicating these meshes so that you could see from my front camera, this guy's in the front, right? This guy is in the back. Look at how much tinier this one is to the one in the front. Those are mathematic rules actually about perspective. If you ever take a perspective class, they will teach you how to draw something called vanishing points on horizons. The computer's doing it for us. That's what's giving us the false perception that this is actually in 3D. So if I move this from here, from like a front view perspective, look at how teeny tiny my little cube is. But when I look at the orthographic view, it's exactly the same. Orthographic perspectives, or I'm sorry, cameras do not calculate perspective for you. So if you actually had it movable and tumbleable, you'll believe that things are enormous when they're actually just the same size far away, right? So we're not going to operate in that while we're navigating these early stages, okay? But why would we have this then? Like, why is this important? Well, sometimes we actually need to like, let me see, let me just make a point really quick here. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I promise I'll show you how to do all this eventually. Sometimes I need to maybe move things in uniform, and it's so much easier if I can actually kind of adjust them in an orthographic view. Like I know I'm getting everything behind it as well mathematically. Okay. All right. So that's the difference between orthographic and perspective. And now let's just nuke all this. Don't need it. Now for us, we need to do this barrel, man, and time's running out. So let's see here. Wouldn't it be nice if there could be an image of our barrel that we could just kind of trace? Man, I agree. Let's cheat. Let's cheat as much as we can right now, you know, ethically. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to import an image that will exist on a plane in your scene in the 3D viewport. But it's going to be important that you only import it through the orthographic camera because it will fix to the camera. If you bring it in perspective, it'll just be on your perspective as you move the camera, and it'll be just like, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So I'm going to do it right first, and then I'm going to do it wrong so that for those of you that accidentally do it incorrectly, you'll know why. Go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. Okay. Now, here it's going to automatically navigate to source images. That's actually a good thing. So in your Explorer, you'll want to move the file from your downloads to your source images. So I'm going to hit Control C, and I'm going to go to Documents, my Projects, 216, Source Images, and I'm going to hit Control V. Look at that. There it is. Well, can I just navigate to downloads? Yes, you can. You'll have to do it every time. The pros and cons. You don't need to go do that extra step. The con is that when you zip up your whole project and take it with you later, you will leave the reference behind and it will break the connection in Maya. Is that a big deal? No, it's just more work for future you. So I kind of recommend actually using the source images folder as intended anytime you want to reference a folder or a file. Yes. Yep. Of the project you're working in. Okay. All right. Yay. Okay. So now there's my little screeny shotty. Open. Hey, look at that. Very visible. I'm going to move it back a little bit. I can tell that I'm moving it back because I'm looking at the front of this part here, and I know that that's the front. You could get confused though, because the front and back look very much the same. So make sure that you are looking from the front. And one more like kind of reminder, I'm using the move tool, which is the hotkey W, or you could click this little icon right over here. And then I'm going to hover over this blue arrow to move it on a single axis backwards. Why'd you do that, Renee? They're like, why though? Why not just leave it here? Well, because this uh, this plane is not transparent and it's not UI. It's an actual plane that will occlude any geometry behind it. So, for example, if I were to have a sphere in the middle, and then just for example, I'm going to make something ugly that you can't see, I wouldn't be able to see it. See that? But if I were to move my plane backwards, it could reveal more of the mesh that it was occluding. So that is why I get into that habit. Just push it back a little bit. Okay. All right, get that stuff here. Okay. Next, I'm going to continue a little bit more setup, and I'm going to move this guy up a little bit so that, excuse me, up a little bit. So it sets approximately on 0. 0 is the large, we'll say the larger, more bold line on the grid here. On the perspective, it's actually a lot easier to see. That 0 is the 0 value of each axis. And I'm sorry? Where's the 0? I'm referencing it, but you don't see 0 said here. This part right here, this is where 0 is. 0 is 0 on the X, Y, and the Z, true 0. That's the very center of your whole scene. And it's like the floor in most editors. So if you're going to export this to a video game and you need something to sit on the floor, you'll want it to be sitting on 0, not halfway through 0. Is there a time to have it halfway through? Sure. If it's something that, yeah, you're going to fling or flail and it needs to tumble with a pivot in the middle. Yeah, totally. Okay. All right. So now, how are we feeling at this stage? We got it all set up? Nice and cozy? Yeah? Okay. Sure. Does anybody want to answer? Show her how to get it to 2? What's that? Okay. All right. That's fine. It's these guys right over here. 4, 1, 4, 2. Yeah. If y'all are helping each other, I can't tell you there's not much more that warms my heart. It's really good for everybody. If you get a little help from somebody nearby, 1, you're getting the help. That's delightful. And 2, if you're helping someone, you're solidifying what you understand about it. Teaching actually makes your learning faster. It's weird. Okay. Now, we're going to, yes, I see some hands up. What's up? Which part? Oh, you need me to show you the image again? Okay.
And click and drag,
Mhm.
like we're trying to rotate. Is there a hotkey you can click and then move, like if I want to move?
Oh, okay. Yes, there is. Let me show it up here. Yeah. Okay. So first question, can I show you how to do the image again? You bet. Let me just nuke it. And the other one is we can like rotate, but can I pan? And you can also zoom. So while you're holding down Alt, the regular click rotates. Middle mouse click will pan left and right. Right mouse click will zoom or dolly in and out, depending on who you talk to. Now, more fun for everyone. I'd like to show you. under Maya Basics, I have some process and controls here. I also show in like a sort of a Giphy presentation what buttons I'm pushing to make these effects happen. So if you need to reference further, and also I don't want anybody to feel embarrassed to ask a question, but it does happen. You can reference this and maybe that'll help. And also it's not loading my GIF for pen. So excellent, wonderful. Wonder what broke there. Okay, coming back. Let's go ahead and do that image again. We're going to go over to view on the orthographic camera, image, import image, image plane, import image, right there. And then navigate to where you saved your image. Now I put this in the source images folder of our project, and now we should be able to pull it up. Now I'm going to do it wrong really quick, so you can see what happens if you accidentally do it in the perspective. That does not help me whatsoever. But the code is the same for how it works to the camera. So that's why I like never do this. All right, so I'm gonna just undo. There we go. Maybe I can undo. There we go. Undo far enough. Okay, now I had kind of spoiled it before, but we need to start off modeling this. And I prefer to always choose the primitive that makes the most sense, which is subjective as we move on here. But for this particular model, I would say that the cylinder is going to be the most efficient way here. It's going to get us 90% of the way there, just bringing it in. Yeah, what's up? Whenever you drag in the image. Okay.
I don't really know how to get it to.
Okay, click go. Oh, I see. Okay. So right here is how you do the double. This is the double stream. Now also something I want to show you. So when you have something selected, like this guy and this guy, you can kind of see that highlight. Hit spacebar for me real quick. Okay, hit it again. No, just hit it again. There you go. Hit it again. Hit it again. So you can toggle between the two simply by tapping them. Now, this is the front view. When you click on it, it's automatically the front. And that should be how you go from here. Get it? Yes.
This one imported is.
No. View. Click view. Yeah, I don't know what that icon was. Image plane. Import image. There you go. You're welcome. All righty. So how many of you have already brought in a cylinder and started breaking it? Nice job. Nice job, head of the class. Okay, go ahead and click cylinder. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this cylinder up. Now, I clicked the channel box on the right so that you can see this. You don't have to see this, but I want to show you what's happening on the back end. I'm going to use my move tool real quick. That's the W, if you forgot, to push up on the axis. And then I'm going to switch to the scale tool, R. And then I'm going to start scaling on that same axis. I'm going to move it up just like that. Very cool. Now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Notice that these values have changed of this mesh. Now, on the Y, it is 1.8 moved up on the grid. And on the Y scale, it's, what is it? Almost the same value of how much it's been scaled up. So it's no longer 111, right? If I were to type in 1, it would be more of a square shape. I'm going to undo that though. We don't want that. Now, the reason this is because Maya doesn't know what you're making. It doesn't know that this is actually the proper scale of a barrel. So we're going to like mess with a lot of these values and later reset them all to 0 by freezing our transforms. I'll do it really quick right now, but it doesn't matter because we can do it later. That's this guy right here. Watch what happens to those values. Whoop. Now it's set to 0 and scaled 111. For those of you that know math, you know what happened. For those of you that don't, I'm going to just keep showing you this over and over again until it starts to click. Don't worry. Now, the next thing though is that this is a common mistake. People will start to scale out on this side. I mean, we did one axis, right? I'm going to do the other one, and oops-a-daisy, I made a squishy squishy. I did not mean to do that. You're right. You're right. So this next thing I'd like to talk to you about is, when you have an object selected, hit F every so often to like reframe your mesh and give it a little tumble. Give it a little look-see. It's so easy to just get sucked into one viewport that we will continue modeling it when we make this mistake. Oof, it happens. Okay. Well, how do I scale it then? Okay. Well, this was the axis we did it on, but we also need to do it on the Z, right? We need to do it on both. This little square in between, we'll scale them on both for us. So here, I'll show you what that looks like from the top view. See that? That's what we want. Now, Resorneo, you just did something super cool. You tumbled from the front camera to the top. How did you do that? Well, when I hold down spacebar, holding it down, I've got this like little window here. Over the Maya icon, I hold down right click, and I can then tumble to whichever camera I would like this orthographic camera to be. Now, some of you have noticed that there's these little arrows around this cube. So you can actually click on top and look at top. However, you need to understand something. It's still the front camera. The front camera is called because it's defaulted to the front. When you tumble it up like this, and then, let's say we change perspectives here. I look at the right, and then I look at the front again. That can break future you's brain a little. You'll be like, wait, why isn't it the front? That's because you accidentally didn't pick up your socks. Just go ahead and tumble back to its default. Just put it back. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So yes, you can interface with this cube. It's fine. You're not going to break anything if you do, but make sure you're bringing it back before moving on. All right. I am horrible about picking up my socks. I'm awful at it. So what I do is I never use it. I do that because I know me. I just know me. You could be very different than me though, so it's okay if you do it differently. All right, so let's put this back in the front. Front. Okay. Go away, go away. Please go away. Okay. Now, all right, so now we actually have to do some real work on this mesh. But before we do that, I would like to give everybody about at least a 10-minute break. Does anybody want 15? Nobody's brave enough to get that extra 5 minutes. Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break. What? What a pal. All right, 15 minutes. We'll come back at 11:45, and then we'll keep going. Some of you will continue anyway, and that's fine. I can come help you get caught up if that's you. But otherwise, 15 minutes. Get some water. Take a break. I'm sorry, guys. We were a little late from break because I had to take attendance off, sort of offline there. Okay, let's get back to it. Yay. Okay. Now, some of you might have noticed that there wasn't much else we could do with the transforms that we've played with. We've moved it and scaled it, maybe rotated it. Don't need to. But like we can't really make it barrel-y, right? The barrel-esqueness of the cylinder. Notice that like if we look at our barrel reference, and we can do what we can to like kind of center it or whatever, but the barrels on the top and the bottom is one scale, and the barrel in the middle is a vivacious, curvy barrel. Like she's got some curves here. So how do we do that? Well, if you notice, when you have your object selected, you see these edges to it, and we can only really like change or deform a mesh based off of how much geometry is there. And like without a vert or an edge around somewhere, I can't scale it up or down. So there's kind of a rule of thumb, is that more geometry typically makes your stuff look better. And that's part of the reason why in ZBrush, you're working in millions sometimes, and you got gorgeous sculptures, right? Such fine detail. because every little deformation is more geometry, right? So from this type of perspective, though, and I think you've done it in poly modeling tools in ZBrush, you're kind of building up from low. And I want to say that there's a bit of a philosophy here. With more geometry and with great poly count comes great poly count responsibility. The more geometry there is to manage, the more difficult these things tend to be without a lot of tools and resources. So we're going to kind of keep it low. And with that philosophy, we're going to try to accomplish the process of modeling with as little as possible before we build up to more geometry. And the first step is a silhouette, right? And we know that the silhouette cannot be met with what we have. So we have to add a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select our mesh and I'm going to right click and choose. I'm going to choose edges because it makes the most sense, but you can really choose almost any of them, whether it's vert or face. Don't worry about vertex face. Don't worry about object mode because we don't want the whole object. We want a sub-selection. And unless you're very comfortable, don't worry about multi. But I'm going to use edge. And you'll notice now that I can like hover over the lines, right? That's what I can do. Now, what I'd like to do is I would like to add a line across all of these other edges. And that is called an edge loop. An edge loop is when we add an edge and it loops back to itself. It loops around. Now, to do that, we can either select all of the edges. I'm going to just click and drag across all of them. You can also do it in your perspective, but you want to be careful because if you do it in your perspective, you might accidentally select some stuff you didn't mean to down here. So if that's you, just make sure that you kind of try again and give it a little tumble. Make sure you didn't accidentally. Or use your orthographic view, and that's going to get you a little bit more of an accurate selection. Now, if I head up to Edit Mesh or Mesh Tools, you're going to see Connect. And then there's another Connect. Well, they're a little different. Now, for those of you who here is a part of my Blender Bro community, Blenders, Blenderers, hi, hello, welcome. I promise no animosity, right? I respect your faith. But I want to say that Maya used to be Blender. I don't mean literally, I mean it was free and open source, and that meant that a lot of developers would create the tools that they need, and sometimes they would create multiples of the tools that they need, but they operated a little differently. And when it got acquired eventually by Autodesk, some of those tools stayed. So we've got multiple connects. Now, I want to say here that like there's not really a wrong answer here. They just do a little different as you get more advanced. However, I will show you my preferred, and that is the modeling toolkit at the top right corner, this little icon that looks like a cube with a hammer. It's like modeling tool. Cube hammer, model tool. That's what it's trying to say. And then if you kind of scroll down here, there's your connect. And this is the one I like to interface with. I saw your hand up. What's up? Nora, right?
I don't know where you placed
Oh,
the mesh tools and everything up here.
top right corner here.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So there's mesh tools up there and there's mesh tools over here. And that's kind of the history of Maya. Now, don't worry, there's no test. But I prefer this guy here because what they did do, I'll say, is that they kind of consolidated most of the tools you'll be using all the time. So I typically interact with that. Now, maybe some of you are like, yeah, but I like the way this one works. Now, I'm going to show you something kind of cool, and this is how you can customize your shelf. The shelf, by the way, are these guys up here. We're in the poly modeling shelf. If you want to, you can go to a certain tool and then hover over it, hit Control, Shift, and then left click, which is just the regular primary click, and save it for you up here on your shelf. If this gets out of hand and you're like, oh my God, oh, you can actually create, excuse me, I clicked the wrong thing. This little gearbox right here, you can click a new shelf and create your own custom. You put whatever you want up there. So it's handy, but you know, not necessary for success in the class. Now, while I have these selected, I'm going to go ahead and click connect. And what it's doing is showing me what it's threatening to do. It's not technically doing it yet, but that's because in this tool, we have like a few different slider options. Now with this connection right here where it says segment 1, if I middle mouse click and drag, it'll create more, which I don't really want to do. If I have slides selected and I middle mouse click and drag, it'll slide up and down. And if I pinch, this only matters if I have more than one, it will like pinch them together or further apart. Now I'm actually not going to do any of those. Let's put you back to 0.5 and I'm going to leave it at segment. So you don't actually have to change it for what we're going to do. I just wanted to show you that it works like this. And I like how this is because when you select them and you add a connect, it kind of gives it to you right in the center and you don't have to eyeball it. So then what you do is you just kind of like hit enter and it creates the edge for you. And there it is. Now, some of you are a little bit more artistically leaning than procedural, and you would like to just click and drag in an edge loop. I'll show you how to do that next. In your mesh tools is the insert edge loop tool. I'm actually going to save this one because I use this one a lot. Oh, actually I already did. Why don't I just delete that? I'm going to delete that too. I'm going to turn it on by clicking it on here. If you just click it in here, it'll do the same, insert edge loop, but it's okay wherever you click it, here or there. Now, when it's on, though, it's a tool that stays on until you tell it to turn off. How my brain tells it to turn off is I just hit W for the move tool. I just switch to another tool that I use all the time. Yes.
Like if the circle is selected and click off, how do you select it? Because like when I tried to do that, it just selected like smaller parts of the object instead of the entire circle itself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Let me finish showing this part and then I'll help you with what I think you're trying to do. I'm going to turn on my insert edge loop tool and then I can just click and drag and then they exist. But notice how if I just keep clicking, it keeps adding. Oops. Sometimes you like add one and then want to tumble it or something. So what I'll do instead is I'll add one and then hit the move tool. And now I can move it. That's how I do that. Now, I think you might be asking is like, how do I get to this stage? Is that what you're trying to do? Like select the circle? Or did you mean the edge?
Yeah, so I clicked off of that.
Okay. This is called an edge loop. So that's okay. That's okay. Some edge loops are circles and some of them are not. That's the only reason why I bring that part up. So if you want to select the edge that you just created, here, I'm gonna do it again. We're gonna select these guys. I'm gonna hit connect. I'm gonna hit enter. And then you clicked off of it and you're like, oh no. Right. Okay. So double click the edge and it will connect or it will continue to select the loop as far as it'll go. Now, the idea is that in many cases, you want these loops to connect back to themselves, but they don't always. For example, if I were to click this edge, it only goes about halfway. That's because this is a triangle and these are quads. Four-sided geometry versus tri. Now, in real-time rendering, while it's getting better, and I agree that n-gons are okay in some stages and in certain ways, it really still is not when you use multiple tools like ZBrush and Unreal. Some engines are handling it better, but right now, we still have to follow the rules around only having four-sided geometry or three. So there will either be quads or tris. So far, are you with me? Okay, so what the heck is an n-gon? What is that? Okay, we got a triangle and a quadrilateral. What's a five-sided polygon? Pentagon, right? Six-sided? Nobody? What? Hexagon, hexagon. Seven-sided? Septagon. What's an eight-sided? Nine-sided? Nonagon. 10-sided? Tenagon, 11agon, a 12agon. I don't know, right? But the heterogon. I don't know, made it up. Doesn't matter. N-gon is what I'm actually saying is the letter N to stand for a variable of number, and then we just throw gon at the end of it so we know what we're referencing. We love to think we're smarter than we are, us 3D modelers. So we just don't want to say pentagon, hexagon, pentagon, because sometimes we have an n-gon that's like 100 sides, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, only quads and tris is what we're aiming for. Now, how does an n-gon happen? Renee, let me show you. Let me show you. This is on the boo-boo. I'm going to select these guys here, right? And I'm going to just hit delete. Okay. Well, I won't ever delete that, so that's not, well, hold on. Sometimes what happens is that we might like delete a face here accidentally. And then what you want to do, and I'm not telling you to do this, but this is what some folks will do, is that you'll go to fill hole because that makes sense. And then you've got an n-gon. And this will break. And if you turn in one of these, it will hurt your grade. It will. But it's okay. There's ways to fix this. This is an n-gon. Not a super common one, but one that happens nonetheless. To fix something like this, I would actually recommend that you just kind of nuke the face. And we can like use the extrude tool to fill it later. Now I'm going to cover that in a little bit more detail, but that's what an n-gon looks like, and that's how they start to happen. Now, here's a more common example of an n-gon. You're doing some stuff, and then you accidentally delete one edge, and, or better yet, you delete one edge right here. Yeah. And you're like, oops, this right here, that looks like a quad, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like a four-sided polygon? It's totally not. It's totally not. Because while it's shaped like a quad, if I were to actually look at the verts of this thing, it's actually a hexagon, actually. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides it actually has. So what do we do here? Oh yeah, I understand. Okay, so let me show you one tool called the multi-cut tool. This guy will draw little lines for you, usually from dot to dot. So if you click here and you click there and then you hit enter, it'll add that for you. Now there's bridging that you can do from edges, and there's lots of ways that we can approach it. So try not to worry too much, but we're going to avoid making n-gons because it does cause a little more work for you later to solve them. Okay, now let's go ahead and try to make the silhouette more barrel-like. Let's get to some good stuff. Let's double click that edge we made in the middle. If it doesn't connect back to you, check to see if we accidentally broke it and made an incomplete circle of our n-gon, or I'm sorry, of our edge loop. And now I'm going to use the scale tool, and I'm just going to like uniform scale by selecting the gizmo in the middle and scooching it a little up. Like I'm just clicking and dragging. That's what I'm doing. Clicking and dragging. Now I'm going to do the same thing, the top and the bottom. Now I just did something really cool. Renee, you selected all those up here and then also selected those right there. How did you do that? Yes. Double click it. Whoop. That's how you select an edge loop. Shift and select. That will add more selection to it. So if I click and drag and then I'll hold down shift and do it again. For you, yes, not for you. You guys are asking me two questions at the same time. So double click your edge right here. Whoop. Well, the one that you want to highlight and select. If I click this one, yeah. Now, if I want to click the edges that are a ring around them where they're all like parallel to each other, I click and drag my marquee over my click and drag little marquee right there. And that's how I select that. Now, I want to also select the ones down here. So I'm going to hold down shift and do the same thing. Cool. Yeah, I can just add more if I want to. Okay. All right. So we're just going to select those down there. And we can hit connect. That's fine. Woo. Hey, I've already got them selected. Now I could uniform scale up, and notice how they go up when I do that too. So maybe only these two axes will get closer to what I want. Now I'll go ahead and show you how to do that again, okay? You could also do this one at a time. Just do one, click connect, hit enter, do the other one, hit connect, hit enter. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. A little repetition didn't hurt. You can also scale them up to get that nice little curve, one at a time. That's okay too. Here you go. Here you go. Yeah, we're definitely not gonna have enough time to get through the rest of it today. Yeah.
I don't think that helps,
Where it inserts the edge loop for you. Insert edge loop tool. I think it's under, I can't remember if it's edit mesh or mesh tools. It's under mesh tools. I hate going through menu. Like that's just something I don't really love. I don't like lists of tools. I like icons and hotkeys. So I don't like to keep going to it and I just save it for myself on the shelf. That's what I like to do. Okay, guys, so we have about a little more than 10 minutes left in class. And we're not done. So it's not going to be due when we get back. But what I would like for you to have finished when we get back is at least this much, right? Try to get at least this much that I've completed here. Now, let me just go ahead and so that you are witnesses. So edit, 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 edit. This is going to be due the day after we meet, October 1st instead. We're going to spend the next day in class finishing this part of the assignment before we move on. Okay, so for your in-class exercise today, go ahead and refresh and make sure it's even showing up for you guys. I don't trust this stuff no more. Due today at 12:30, available completely, and well, we have 10 minutes of grace. Why don't you take a screenshot of whatever's in front of you on Maya? Whether it's a cube, an empty canvas, your barrel progress, whatever that is, just show me a screenshot of Maya open in front of you. Whatever that looks like. Okay?
Just one like the
It could just be the viewport. I'll believe you. Okay. All right. Once you've resolved that, we'll go ahead and cross-reference your in-class exercise with your presents, and then you guys are free to go. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend, I guess, unless I see you guys later. Is anybody in my game design class? I'll see you later. I'll see you later today. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right.